there is like.
Oh, good.
I would not. Oh, Fiat Lux, right now. I think this is enough. This is good. If ever it's not enough. No, this is good. Huh? Yeah. Everybody saw the ads? Yeah? So I'm going to turn them off now. You know, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Welcome to Timukwa. Who's here for the first time? Oh, we have a few. I'm afraid I've got some mansplaining to do. I'm joking. But please silence your cell phone and kill the flash too. But you can take pictures, you see? I mean, I don't look very good, but the light looks good, right? So, yeah, thank you. I was fishing for that actually. So yeah, please do that because we don't want the cell phone noises to interfere. You don't want to be that person who forgot to double check, right? Mine is definitely on silent. Okay, so for those of you who do not know, we have a non-profit called the Timukwa Arts Foundation. My lovely wife, who's out there chatting away somewhere, is going to come in at some point. Of course, the place will light up when she comes in, I'm sure. Here she comes right now. And so my wife and I built this place to have events just like this one. And so we're very excited that you finally discovered the new ones. We finally discovered it. And so we hope that you'll be back. Now, some people, a lot of people, we like them, they love to give to the foundation so that we can keep doing this because that's what we want to do. And so you see the lit artwork that you see tonight, and some of which actually there was one piece on the other side from just Jim Preston and another one from Brian Turner here, which, yeah, there you go. I couldn't light all of them up. But so these will be your rewards if you donate tonight. It's a special. And so you'll have to find out from Chris how much you have to donate for each one to get to get them as a reward. But for this one example, this is the most expensive. It's $1,000. It's a piece from Gerald Kane, and so you will get this piece if you donate $1,000 to the foundation. And so, and then the other ones are less. There's other things too, of course, because we have several levels of membership. And even at $120, that ends up being like $1.30 per event. We have 92 events, less than that, $1 something per event. It's super cheap. And so I hope that you will want to become a member of Timukwa. And then Chris will explain all the perks to you. I don't have time to do that. But I do have to tell you that we have bathrooms, one per floor. And it would be very lovely if you use them, if you need them. Because, of course, the alternative is much messier. We prefer that. Now, please, your kitchen trash, refrain from putting or disposing of your kitchen trash in the bathroom trash. We have bins for that in the lobby, which doubles as our dining room. This is our living room, just to be precise. And in case of emergency, you will need to get out the way you came, or the west side also has an emergency exit. If you are on upper floor, you have to come down to exit. Otherwise, you will be stuck up there with no place to go but the bedroom or something, which is fine for me but not fine for you. So anything else? The wine glass. Well, your wine glass is your temporary possession, but when you're done with it, meaning keep it for the whole night. That's what I'm trying to say, so that we don't have to wash more than one generation of wine glasses. And then when you're done, before you leave at the end of the evening, just bring it in the kitchen for us. Then this way I don't have to go glass hunting, which is not a sport I particularly... yeah. And we have several books for sale, but I will let the authors tell you about those. But we have, I think, I want to say most readers tonight brought their books for sale. So I think they range from like 7 to 14, but I could be wrong. There could be a more expensive or a less expensive one, but the prices I saw were about that range. So we hope that you're going to buy boatloads of them. There's stock. So we have examples like one example per book, and then we have more stock that you can buy. Don't be discouraged. Oh, there's only one left. No. That's just a display model, and then you can buy 4, 5, 6 copies for your friends and family for Christmas or the holidays coming up. All right? Yeah, you can get them signed and stuff, which I'm sure. I mean, most of you know everybody here, so that's fine. All right. Anything else? We have a bowl. We are the proud possessors of a bowl, which is to put money in. And so if you like what you hear tonight, put money in the bowl. Buy some books, buy some artwork. I mean, donate and get artwork as a reward. That, you know what I mean. And so I've talked enough. I just want to say that this is part of our alternative programming series, which means it's not classical music, or it's not jazz music, or it's not folk music. It's other. Some would say better. We call it alternative. That's our way of saying it's different. And the person in charge of organizing this alternative programming is Joseph Hayes, and he's sitting here. And he already has all of 2019 booked, and it's going to be spectacular. So please keep track on timuquoa.com of what's coming, because if you like this event, you're going to like many more of like events like theater and other literary events that we have coming up in 2019. So please stay abreast of what's happening. My English is getting better just because. Yes. So yeah, it's funny because I usually can't even speak English. It's pretty funny. All right. So without further ado, please welcome Susan Lilley.
And welcome. We are mic free tonight, so you're hearing the natural poetry voice of people. And I really want to thank you for coming out on a Sunday night so late, because especially poets, because you know what we're usually doing on Sunday night, don't you? We're, in a dark room with a single candle lit, crying into our absinthe. But after a week like this, but thank God, poetry is so non-political. Just kidding. Anyway, I have some of my favorite poets here tonight to. I view this as a program of a sampler of poets I love to hear read and want to hear read. We're going to be very short, just a few poems each. So when Benoit, and thank you Benoit, and thank you Etienne, and thank you Joseph Hayes. And this beautiful space. It's so awesome. Mm-hmm. But we'll applaud that, later. But it's like, in fact, now. But it's really great that a place like this, where I have been to many musical events and other literary events, will carve out a space for just the spoken word. It's fantastic. And I also am appreciative of the city of Orlando that decided that a poet laureate was necessary. And it's, it's really kind of amazing. So I'm authorized by the city of Orlando to sprinkle you all with invisible poetry dust. It's going to go on all night. You're going to feel real different tomorrow, I'm just telling you. And like Benoit said, if you like what you hear, please give to this organization. But I would say even if you don't like what you hear, give to this organization, because that's what it's all about, free speech. Also, I am proud to be involved in a few other things. The Kerouac Project, so dear to my heart. I love them, and please look them up online. Kerouac, help me, Jana, Jeff. KerouacProject.org. And we have our current Kerouac resident here. She is here for 3 months writing away. So Ellie, wave at us. All the way from Bristol, England. We are an international audience tonight for sure. And Burrow Press is going to publish my first full-length poetry book. I've had chapbooks. So yay, Burrow Press! BurrowPress.com. And since it's such a non-political evening, I thought I would start with a poem. I was trying to write my own, but about just various things that pissed me off, but it got so out of hand this week. And then I found a poem today on the Rattle poetry site, which is really good. It's called This Is Only a Test. Everybody get the email or the text or whatever? Yeah. We're nice to know we're within the grasp any time of somebody's need to communicate with us. Anyway, Abby Murray published this poem on Rattle today. This is only a test. This is a test of the emergency alert system. If this were an actual emergency, there would be thousands of white ladies lurching forward to touch a man with 2 thumbs up, and they'd be howling a carol that sounds like wolves being shot from above. And if this wasn't merely a drill, you would be directed to the nearest rendezvous for people who once begged to escape, which looks similar to the federal building next to the scrap metal yard, which is burning an otherworldly smoke towards space on the tail of California's ashes. And if this were an actual emergency, fire crews would advise us not to inhale deeply or swallow water within city limits until there could be a thorough investigation of the active shooter who may or may not be barricaded in a shed with a legally purchased rifle and years of rejection, which can be fatal to those who live near the rejected. And there would be hundreds of doors flung open on churches, and there would be bodies everywhere watching each other, wondering whose hands will pull them from the subway tracks, and whose will press a scream back down its own throat toward the mattress. But this is only a test. No action is needed. I repeat, no action is needed. Well, action is needed. Anyway, that was not my poem, and I wish I had written it. I am going to bring up our first poet. I'm going to do that thing that's annoying. I'm going to come up and introduce each person in between, because I don't know about you, but I forget, like, sometimes they give a bunch of introductions and I don't know who's who. So I'm going to be up here frequently. No more wine for me. I had to climb that little step. Okay. Ashley Nguanta. She's a writer, artist, and educator based in Central Florida. She's the author of 3 collections, The Way Home, For the Woman Alone, and Bomb. Her work has also appeared in publications like The Rumpus, Pank, The Los Angeles Review, and Smoke Long Quarterly, where she has served as art director. When she is not writing, you can find her exploring the wilderness, studying classical yoga, and teaching her beautiful students at Valencia State College. Welcome, Ashley.
This is really bright, and I can't see you at all. So this is really awkward because I can't see you, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am not interested in knowing the names of mountains. Instead, I want to know why they resemble our skin as we age. Why they remind me of the folds in silk sheets. How Earth somehow knows us, reflects us in its mirror. People say we are made in the image of God. But what if God made us to mirror mountains, the curves and peaks of the land? Humans name things to form some sort of permanence. That is a mountain. That is Cousin Grace. But the mountain did not always look like a mountain. Once it was deep within the earth. The way it formed took great pain and great story. And that is what I want to know. What the mountain was before it was mountain. silence in that growth. I want to be as lucky to grow with such silence and privacy. If we could look, would we? Would we want to understand, or are we too afraid of what we could become as the dog's howl hushes, as the wind no longer touches our peaks? Before our sun formed, a woman stood in the dark. She is your mother. And if you don't believe me, walk to the nearest mountain and wait until you feel a wish that can never be separated from its fulfillment. To remember God's fingerprint upon her face, your mother cast a vast ocean. She rolled its waves from one palm and placed the other on her heart like this, and the ocean arrived. Try it yourself, and a gull will fly from your navel. Don't see it? Close your eyes. You are everything you have wanted to become. You are the future. You are the wonder your mother envisioned when she said, "Live on." You are the way she held her sister's hand as she walked off the edge of America, the way her sister said, "I'm scared," the way your mother said, "Trust me." Never have two people understood each other more. When your mother rolled an ocean for you, the world was blooming out of its simplicity, yet the sun still rose and set with a purpose beyond beauty. Hold on to this. Since you are the future, you will never know the necessity of sun, but oh, how you know other things, like how to keep magic a secret, how to breathe wings from your body, how to travel back in time, how to land in 1907 effortlessly and without warning, running to those praying for your arrival with the precision of an engine. They wait on America's edge for you, knowing that here they still belong to the sun, and for a moment you do too.
Wow. Thank you, Ashley. Next up, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the newly named Lake County Poet Laureate, and a poet I've admired for many years, Laura Sabat Ross. She has worked as a teacher and writing coach for Lake County schools and Lake County library systems. Her poems have appeared in more than 100 literary journals. In addition to several Pushcart Prize nominations, she was a finalist for the Arts and Letters Poetry Prize and won the Southern Humanities Auburn Witness Poetry Prize. Her poetry books are A Tiny Hunger and My Mississippi. A third book, The Graffiti of Pompeii, is forthcoming this year. Laura, thanks for coming from Lake County. Come on.
Hello, everyone. As Susan mentioned, I recently had the good fortune of being named as Lake County's first Poet Laureate. And that being said, I'm going to read poems about Lake County tonight. There are many things I love about Lake County: the rolling hills, the cultural diversity, the agricultural aspect. I love the notion that we have orchids growing all over our county in the greenhouses, and that they're even sold at our convenience stores. This first poem, originally named, is called Lake County. A heightened green, the eased inclines, an earth too damp to echo. Your words are safe here. This horizon's seamless. Horse, orchard, fence, palm tree, cumulus clouds so close you'll witness their sticky lint inflections. I think exile, and I don't know why. Who knew stillness could be this porous, this immune to the leaching pitch of cicada? Strawberries blister into being, gopher turtles tunneling in and out. In the nurseries, orchids, so intricate they seem to have been plucked from beneath the skin, tweezered right out of the blood. Don't touch them with your bare fingers, each exquisite intrusion of stamen and sepal held up to the light and inhaled back inside through the lungs. Pleural membranes, alveoli, follicle and inflorescence, humid things that need no roots, so little light to breathe. In Lake County, I work as an ESOL teacher for adults and also a GED teacher at Lake Tech. And I've also worked as a writing coach. This poem is about one of my students, Abraham Garcia, who was one of the best little fourth grade writers I've ever worked with. It's called Migration. Abraham was the son of migrant workers, here only long enough to pick the blueberries, sweet corn, beans, and tangelos. The seasons a scorch beneath a wide sky, busy and tangled with currents. Night, a compass of stars. His writing was perfect, and by that I don't mean scaled to a point on a rubric or his own fourth grade cursive corralled between red margin lines. In English, say it in English was something I never had to remind him to do. How could they sleep at night, he wondered, with all those oranges pining, sweet and spherical on their stems, momentum locked in porous skin. Abraham's face was as pure as a monk's. His dark eyes behind his glasses were full of light, like the fractured aquas of the swimming pools, where the shouts of American children echoed across the valley of an industry so green it slid like a mirror across the sinkholes. His own family's laundry drying over a hedge of juniper. Sandhill cranes, Abraham noted, must have flown in from a prehistoric era, ancient as magnolia blossoms. And the robins, he wrote, suddenly, well, they were everywhere, shaken out of wool sleeves into the orchards, the schoolyard, and the slow mappings of shadow beneath the live oak trees, the whistled out marrow of their small bones, still cold and carrying the wind. Okay, and now for something rural, and an ode to the pastures that are everywhere in Lake County. This is called In the Pastures. Do they know how soft they are, furred over, so much flesh to the bone? They are knuckle and tongue, withers and grit, an empty gum pad behind a top lip where other animals have incisors. They're hungry, but not for human touch. Imagine the startling taste of anything but green. From here I can see the pupils of their eyes are dashed in rather than dotted, that there's sand in their lashes. A voice moans open like a wound. My croon, my sweet carrots and apples, a curiosity. Come closer, dear cow, goat, llama, sheep, in your fleece of rain and pollen and black flies. Those small horns that root up and curl hard from your skull make me think of restless gods, of siren songs in beer cans tossed among the chickweed. Cloven sounds sacred. Your webbed stomachs are full of blades going soft in your potent saliva. Dreamless, you can discern 1,000 weary redemptions in the night air. The moon has been licked bald of its salt. Even the passing cars sound like sighs.
Our next poet, Cecilia Rodriguez Milanes, is the author of Everyday Chica, winner of the 2010 Longleaf Poetry Press Prize, and followed by Everyday Chica, Music and More. CD is out there as well as the book, set to Caribbean folk music and released in 2011. Her two short story collections, Oye, What I'm Gonna Tell You, and Marielitos, Balseros, and Other Exiles, were both number 4 and 5 on the Guardian's list of 10 of the best books to help understand Cuba. She teaches literature and writing in UCF, and I'm so happy to hear her read tonight.
Thank you, Susan, for inviting me, and I was very proud to be among the committee that selected Susan as Poet Laureate. Oh, wait, I need my maraca. So that means I have to start with this one. This is a poem that I wrote after Judith Ortiz Cofer's poem, Beans, An Apologia for Not Loving to Cook. And in her poem, she talks about her mother and grandmother and aunts that used to watch over the beans all day in the kitchen. And I'm Cuban, and Cubans don't wait, so they use a pressure cooker. So the pressure cooker sounds like this when it's warming up, and it sounds like that when it's really pressurized. So that's in the backdrop. And then I have 3 words that the title of the poem is Hombre, Hambre, Hembra. And they're so similar. Hombre, of course, is man. Hambre is hembra is female, right. So they're, yeah, I thought that was really interesting how those 3 were together. So here we go. And it's called Hombre, Hambre, Hembra. Too close for comfort. What indeed do hombre, man, hembra, female, hambre, hunger, have to do with one another? El hombre, always concerned with his belly, what good food you will bring him, mujer. La hembra, female of the species, always associated with feeding, even her body feeds others. Hombre, weighty, substantial word, usurps the vague hembra. She is at service to those who would use her. Hembra is not as useful a word as its opposite, varón, varonil, which gives us the most productive verifier. But not just manly, but macho. Hambre is female, despite the article declaring it male. Hambre, hembra, waiting to be fed with love, kindness, appreciation, waiting for her mouth, her body to be filled, the empty space between her ribs, pelvis, the pits of her palms. Hambre is female, like hembra, indistinct, precise, unforgiving. So that one is from this little book, and there's a CD where all the poems are set to music, and that's outside too. So I have a sad poem. This is for my brother, who will be gone 3 years on Friday. And it's called Danny Postmortem. A corpse, not you, what remains of your body, though we are all one body, gray, swollen, exhausted, but conforme. It has no direct translation. Could you be resigned at this turn of events, this sudden passing, even if it was in your sleep? No burial, nor viewing. Our only chance to grieve as one body was the mass you didn't forbid. We wept as the empty urn was marched up the aisle by the friend who longs for a reunion. Not surprising, this turn of events, giving the pounding you put your body through, the pounding back of beer after beer after beer after beer. Not ever drunk, really, just mellowed, more you in your body. We had nothing, no body to touch, kiss, caress, no way to hold even your cold hand, no tomb or stone to visit. Relics remain, your silly t-shirts, a ratty bathrobe, an old knife, your wrestling gear, and your hollowed progeny. Every day grief rises. Every day a resurrection. Okay, so I have a poem with 16 F-bombs in it. So I apologize if anybody is offended. I'm very sorry, I'm from New Jersey. Actually, you know what? And Cuban. From New Jersey and Cuban. So it's like, woohoo, double shot. So actually, let me just give you a small little poem in here. Back when I was a Jersey girl, talking black, talking shit, hanging out on the street, dungarees with patches or studs, I was something. Me and my girls, we was something. Girls together, we was Jersey girls. So that gives you context. So this poem I wrote after the election in 2016, and I revisited it today, considering all the rage that I have been feeling lately. And so again, I'm sorry if anybody gets offended. It's called Fucking White People. Fucking white people, fucking white people, fucking white people. There are fucking white people all around me. I am annoyed by fucking white people when I walk among them. I feel assaulted by fucking white people who grimace and bare their big white teeth while yelling at me through the TV or the computer screen. My neighbors are fucking white people across the street and behind the backyard and to either side of my house. They are all fucking white people. My house is my sanctuary. I will not have any fucking white people in my house because I can bar them. I will not have any fucking white people with their Confederate jasmine climbing onto my magnolia tree or my fence, no matter how sweetly it smells, how glossy its leaves, or sturdy its vine. In my house, I can speak Spanish at the top of my lungs if I want to. I can blast bachata, nasty reggaeton, and rumba as long and as loud as I want in my house. In my house, I will teach my son to avoid getting killed by police brutality, to avoid getting stereotyped and dismissed. I will teach my son to avoid fucking white people if he can help it. Some of my best friends are white people. Some of my friends are happily fucking white people without getting fucked over. Some white people are angry for the same reasons I am angry. Sometimes some white people are allies. Sometimes white people get it when I say you don't get it. Some white people get it when I say I fear for my son's life, for my son-in-law's life, for my husband's life. They get it when I say I fear for the planet. They agree that climate change is not silly nor a matter of opinion because they know that the science is indisputable. They get it when I say I am so angry because so many fucking white people support a racist, homophobic, sexist internet troll no matter what. They get it when I say I am furious that so many fucking white people elected a lying, pestilent heap of orange shit. Some white people know that I don't include them as the fucking white people I will war against from now on. They know what the fucking white people have done, and they know they're gonna have to stand up and fight too.
Thank you. That's so good. Yeah. Sorry, Terry Godby, it's a hard act to follow, but you're awesome. So, Terry Godby, one of my favorite poets and human beings, has published 4 poetry collections: Hold Still, Beauty Lessons, Behind Every Door, and Flame. Several of those, if not all, are out there. She's the winner of the Read It Up Poetry Award, and so was I at one time, like the next year, so it was weird because they didn't know what was going on in Maitland, Florida, where I lived at the time. Who are you people? It's in the water. She is also a wildlife and nature photographer. She makes beautiful stuff, writing or the pictures, and she wanders in the woods every chance she gets. Welcome, my friend, Terry Godby.
Wow, you really can't see anything.
I've just changed my mind about what I'm going to read. The middle poem, because now I feel like I feel some anger. It's about a different subject, but still anger is anger. So I'm going to start with a poem about how when, as a girl, I discovered who had the power in the world and who didn't. It's called Sweet 16. I was carrying on about my milestone. Next door, Rita was carrying on with my best friend's father. No one blamed her. Rita's husband, Big Ralph, with flying saucer ears, a chin that pooled like a donut, never let Rita have any money. She scrubbed floors at the base hospital, took care of whiny little Ralph, owned exactly 2 house dresses, both plaid of discordant spectacular hues. I bounced out of bed on my birthday to miniskirts and Stones records, a reprieve from housework, and mushroom steak for dinner. Mom and I left the dishes to soak, joined Rita outdoors in the lawn chairs. Terry's 16 years old today, my mother announced. Big Ralph, greasy and bent over the hood of his old Chevy, dragged over a web chair, squeezed into it, and pulled me onto his lap. Sweet 16 and never been kissed, he shouted, whacking my bottom with one meaty paw, restraining me with the other. Stop, I yelled, stop. I slapped and kicked and glimpsed through his thick, hairy ankles the upside-down arrival of friends, neighbors. I'm going to spank you one time, he said, panting, for every year. I was sorry to be so old, sorrier still to be so young. My mind spun with wishes, and not the birthday candle kind. May the base commander rip the stripes off your massive sleeves. May little Ralph grow to hate you as much as I do. May Rita's lovers line the block. When he finished, I scrambled to my feet, tried not to cry, snarled, that hurt. Ah, honey, he said, still smiling, if that's the worst pain you ever know. Rita sighed. My mother lit another cigarette. All right, well, since we're on a rage thing, I'm going to change my mind and read. It's October, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I have to read this one. So I was diagnosed with cancer on September 29, 2010, and I walked out of the office into this pink world because it was, October, and it was just very, very freaky, and it made me mad. So this is a little rant I wrote about all the pink. It's called In the Pink. Suddenly I'm sick and everything's pink but my pasty face. October and it's everywhere. Newspaper wrapper, junk mail envelopes, the cap on my son's medicine, even the bottle of ground ginger, bake for the cure. All this girlish pink, a kick in my gut. My surgeon hands me a pink goodie bag of wig and scarf catalogs like a party favor, and I want to slap the smiles off the models' faces. Friends give me pink pajamas, pink socks, pink pens, pink t-shirts, pink bracelets, pink ribbons. Thank you, I say, for the pink blanket, for the chemo I don't want, to treat the cancer I don't want, and I stash all the gifts in the pink container with the bills and test results I don't want. From pages of pink magazines, long-haired survivors blather on about how cancer turned out to be good for them. I'll never be thankful for my illness. I don't want to be a member of this pink club. I don't know who I'm mad at, but I just am. So we'll move on to another not uplifting poem. That's pretty much all I have. This one is called For This Life, We'll Be Serving Meatloaf and Mashed Potatoes. Do you think you're the only one ever plunged into the dark on a long train ride? Soon enough, the lights blink back on, new people settle into nearby seats, a man staring past his newspaper, a woman chewing red grapes and regret. Look out the window. It's the same old scrubbed skillet sky, raining on lovers and lonely alike. Be patient. Your heart will stop its slavish thumping like the tail of a dog by the door. Love almost always ends this way. Watch the mountains disappear past the window. Summon the waiter for meatloaf and mashed potatoes and more than a little bourbon to wash it all down. You'd like to lie across the tracks at the next station, but this is not an old movie. There's no hero to scoop you up. That nonsense is what landed you here. Hurry and pick yourself up. It is enough right now to eat and drink and save your own life.
Wow, there's so much poetry power in this room. I kind of feel a little dizzy. Thanks, Terry. Okay, next up, someone I have longed to hear read. Poet, journalist, literary critic, and professor of English, O.B. Nakwinwa. Sorry. Nwakin. I had it okay when I had the syllable, the emphasized syllable first. Nwakinwa. I'm sorry. Was educated at the prestigious government college Umahia, studied English at the University of Jos in Nigeria, and earned his MFA at the Washington University in St. Louis, and PhD in English from St. Louis University. He teaches creative writing at UCF, and he teaches also African American literature, transnational literatures, literature of Black diaspora. I can't read anymore. He also won the ANA Cadbury Prize for Poetry with his The Rope to Earn, and was shortlisted in 2013 for the L&G Prize for Birth Cry, Thirsting for Sunlight, his biography of the tragic modernist poet Christopher Okigbo. Obi is currently working on the biography of the poet, statesman, and journalist Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nigeria's founding president, and he's also working on a book of poems and a novel. I mean, he's a busy guy, but here he is, so he's going to read for us.
I can assure you I'm swaying a little with wine. That's not a very good thing. And I also like to let you know that I've been warned not to sing by my in-house censor to sing some cacophonies. But whatever happens, I'm usually a shy guy. I like to sing before I read my poems. But since I've been told not to sing, what you get is what you get. I'm not going to sing, but I'm going to start. I'm going to read 3 poems from The Birth Cry and a poem from my new collection of poems called Indigo Streets, a poem around Hermes. And if you listen carefully, you hear that I have a bit of an accent, and you just have to pay attention. I have the right to mispronounce words, and I have the right to give it a bit of spice. So, it is all the English language because it's traveled by the sea. And this poem is at shore with the stars. We are both storytellers. You of what is to become, and I of what has gone before. Certitude sometimes returns as faith. as an image of the stars. This night, as I muse your coming, counting the named constellations, crossing the imaginary lines where stars cluster, I know that what has changed is the way we read the night, not the narratives twisting and invented people, not the black emptiness that surrounds us. My second poem, of course, not my glasses, is in the mid-noon of our lives. In the mid-noon of our lives, we dragged a ball of bags across highways. We carried fog in our souls, and the clouds high above our heads. We smelled the sun-soaked grass and afternoon rain. We glimpsed the sunrise and knew it before it vanished from sight, and all the quicksand these uncertain depths concealed it. Of the world and its sufficient causes, there are too many centuries between us. The sun hurries down beyond the ridges. The liquid rays rush recklessly alongside, rousing the ageless storm. Fear slips between like a careless word in a sentence. The third poem is in memory of Leonard Gakinya, who was found hanged on October 2, 2002 in Springfield, Missouri. Many of you would have heard about this incident, but let's see. And I remembered it not, and the tribe of singing leaves. And I remember the imperial leaf bent finally to the sun. Dark, brooding, the face of a fallen saint. Upon him, angry bowl of giant maleness rolling impotently through poetry. He impaled every noon with a dark, erect malevolence, and like the gay adder, strikes where the grass is greenest. And I remember the smoldering hearth, the bitch in heat, the unsurveyed hacienda, the unsurveyed podenda, the unvisited hacienda, echoing to itself, ventriloquizing the wind. Melanin is under my skin, and that is nothing new either. But let me tell it all of the one night when the moon sank under my skin, and I made love to Prozac and to ecstasy, and sang the ode to forgetting, toasting midnight with Bella Sarah beside me. But let me tell it all of the deaf blue sky, of the day I rose and raised my hand for more wine, and raised my glass to morning's nipples hardening before me, to the God who created pain and as he created wine, to the odds waiting to shape the wood, to the nights variable and uncertain, to my shadow standing, hands akimbo, across 20 yards to the terraces of comely St. Louis. Let me tell it. Let me tell it all, for melanin is under my skin, of the sea of gnarling faces on Delmar, pale, angry, staggering against night, and the night who offered herself to me as temptation to jump and hang from a 10-storied sky. The gossamer rope lowering the body to enlightenment, from the 7th ether to the 9th symphony, and then the final footfall, and Beethoven belching from the solemn dirge. Let me tell it all, child, let me tell of the tonic place, the Hall of Fame, and how it hurts so. For I remember the night stuck on his scrotum, suck daughter, with the intangible, the undiagnosed disorder, the obsessed, importunate, and wonderful lie that suffers itself and nails to the cross all desires to be plain, to be a child, to cross the body and its soul, and to say, Amen. My last poem this night, and I thank you, Susan, for giving me this opportunity to read this wonderful poem. Thank you all for coming this night. Somebody said poets whip into their wines on Sunday. Yes, that's very true. But I shall say that this is the 26th movement of Book 1 of Indigo Street, my new poems, and it starts. It was a ship full of illegal aliens, dreamers, and sundry contraband, porcelain from China, the wine of Aramis, spices, gum Arabic, Moroccan leather, rough diamonds, Mexican farmhands, in the hull of this good ship, the Republic. I heard a prismatic voice choke, singing, Advice, bless my homeland forever. We sat through a tempest. In a feast of thunder, I dreamt of a butcher who had slain the far-famed scion of storms. The winds came to me that night singing, Lo, see how men blame the gods, but through their perversity they meet sorrow. Go to America, go to every town hall, tell them of Augustus the Greedy, who stole the bride of Atreus and murdered him on his homecoming. Go to America and tell them this riddle. Do not slay the man nor woo his wife, for vengeance follows Orestes, son of Atreus, when he comes of age and longs for his land. Go to America, the wind did, dragging the sail against its will, and the mother ship of the tawny water with half my soul in it.
Thank you, Dr. Nwakanma. I got it. You know, some people know how to end a poem. I think that last line of that last poem just kind of gave me a major chill down my spine. Whew. Okay, next up, Amy Watkins. She grew up in Central Florida, surrounded by orange groves, palmetto brush, and a big, loud, secretive family. The kind of upbringing that's produced generations of Southern writers. She married her high school sweetheart, had a baby girl, and earned her MFA in writing from Spalding University. She's the author of the chapbooks Milk and Water and Wolf Daughter, which will be released as an ebook and audiobook in 2019. Don't you love poetry that you can listen to in your car? Thank you, Amy. Amy, come on up.
Thank you. Susan mentioned my baby girl in my intro. She's 15 now. She's this beautiful, creative, incredible person. And so I'm the mother of a teenage girl in 2018 in America. Fuck me, right? So that is what Wolf Daughter is about. And I'm going to read a few poems from that collection, which I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about it being released in audio. I think it's going to be really cool. She plays video games, and she's playing the video game Skyrim. And in that game, you can turn into a werewolf. And her character turned into a werewolf, and she couldn't figure out how to turn herself back into a human. And that hearing her talking to herself while she was playing that game is the inspiration for this book. So in this book, it's about being the mother of a teenage girl, but my teenage girl has turned into a wolf. So my daughter says, I don't remember how not to be a wolf. She says, I've tried everything. I guess I'm just a wolf now, and I'll be a wolf forever. Her ears and teeth grow long and keen, and there's a ridge of guard hairs down her spine she lets me stroke sometimes when she's tired and lonely from life as a wolf. And though it's hard to shop for jeans and homecoming dresses, and we don't agree about food or the hygiene of her bedroom, I mean, den, I'm her mother, and I think my wolf daughter beautiful when she stalks and howls, when she tears my heart to pieces. These poems don't really have titles, they're just numbered in the book, so this is poem number 3. We could call it First Dance. She hates every outfit she tries on, but when I say, you don't have to go if you don't want to, she cries and slams her bedroom door. I remember a high school dance I insisted on attending, even though I had no date, no outfit. I borrowed clothes from a friend 3 sizes bigger than me. I looked like one of those wire hanger fashion models walking the runway in clothes that swallow every curve. I say, let's go shopping, but she hates shopping, even before she became a wolf, and not one single pair of jeans in 6 department stores fit her waist, her hips, her long back-jointed legs. She hated trying things on. I promised just one shop, we'll find something. And we do. A dress, simple and stylish and even on sale, with a thread of full moon silver that makes her eyes shine so, I confess, for one moment, I think it might transform wolf to woman. No matter that it doesn't. She looks pretty, she feels pretty. I say, we'll add a camisole, keep it modest. And this is poem number 15 out of 17 or 18. We take our daughter to Rome, a sort of pilgrimage. Her middle name is a landmark in a city founded by brothers who were raised by wolves. We roam the streets, the piazzas, the cathedrals. We listen to the singing and the chatter of tourists, race each other around the Circus Maximus, imagining chariot wheels, reciting legends as if they were history. Because she loves art, we reserve time at the Borghese Gallery. Let her lead us through its many rooms. She stops at Bernini's Apollo and Daphne, my wolf daughter. She circles, then is still a long time. Here is Apollo, spoiled, selfish, all pursuer, villain, hunter, God. And Daphne, running, even as her feet take root, captured in the moment of change between girl and tree, always. My girl says, look, you can see light through the leaves. We walk out past David, past Persephone and Hades. Her sharp claws click on the marble floor.
Wow, I can't wait to get that book into my hands. Thank you, Amy. Our next to last reader, I'm the last one, and it's only a couple of poems, but next to last is my good friend Terry Ann Thaxton. I noticed that both Terrys have bird-themed clothing on. I don't know what that's about, but anyway. It's a club. Terry Ann Thaxton's 3 books of poetry, all of them amazing. include Getaway Girl, The Terrible Wife, and the new Mud Song, as well as a textbook, that's brave, Creative Writing in the Community, a guide. She is a recipient of the Missouri Review 2012 Jeffrey E. Smith's Editor Prize and 2 Florida Book Awards. Her essays and poetry have appeared in Defunct, Gulf Coast, Cimarron Review, Southwestern, Lullwater, Teaching Artist Journal, and a bunch of other journals. She's a professor at UCF in English, and she's also runs their MFA program. Let's just say that. She's one of my favorite poets and a Florida girl like me. Terry.
Thank you, love. Thank you. This is such a great group of poets to read with, and also all of the poets and writers that are in the audience. That's just wonderful to read in a setting like this to you folks. Thank you, Susan, for including me. I'm going to read one poem from each book. I thought that would, she said 3, so I thought, 3 books, 1 from each. So this is from the first book, Getaway Girl. Small bending hope. Wanting to be held, I walk into the idea of my mother, where tucked beneath her blue dress is talk of romance, the sky, and my father, the drug addict, dead at 53. Always it had been the silence that I hated, but now I welcome the past I tried not to remember. Lying in a silent room with flowers brought by mourners who wished me alive, the light in the hallway going on and on. And though I hold my past in a galvanized bucket, behind the branches there is darkness gathering like steam. My past has been hidden by years with no scent. Was it not me falling into the stagnant pond, the emptiness of it leaking from my hands? Here, where my parents' voices now live, even the darkness disappears just behind cinder blocks that my father once used to close in the family room. If I am to be comforted, I must not look toward the sky, for I will find myself wishing I were a crow, wishing for those nights when I did not know my past. I am a person whose windows might fill with slivers of loneliness, a person who might give away all of the stories she owns, a person who once wished away her parents' deaths. There is a past I pretend to believe in, and a small bending hope that in someone else's hands I will find myself lying outside the barren forest beneath the silent scoop of moonlight. Okay. This is from The Terrible Wife, my second book. I was married and divorced 4 times before I was 25, thus qualified to write this book. I have been married now for over 20 years to one guy. To one guy, nice, okay. This is the last poem in the book, The Empty Trail. The empty trail is an opened scarf that carries me into the oak shadows until the day is lost and I am lingering in a bed of straw and leaves. At home, my house dress became a floating umbrella, a memory from the heavy cart of night. But here, summer brushes my face. I'd trade all of my wedding rings for weeds and dirt and swamp. I do not call on anyone's worn hands to hold me up. I have no one to follow into the air. Here, light opens upon vines. Hunger is one swoop, an osprey pounding water, and I keep walking down the long thread of the river toward the grass of forgiveness. Okay, and then, sorry, Micah, I'm going to read this poem. Okay, and then this last poem I'm going to read is from the newest book, Mud Song, Mud Song is really most of the poems are a love song to Florida. I'm 5th generation Floridian at least. The family gets a little squirrely after that. I don't know where they went, you know, where they came from, whatever. This is the first poem in the book, sort of a prelude to the love song to Florida. It's called History of America. On the boat, the men drank whatever the women poured, while the women buoyed up the heads of sick children, and then they were peeling corn, and potatoes rose from the earth. I never paid attention in school. I didn't understand the purpose of history or science. Women sharpened knives, not knowing they could be used against them. There was a table, and probably not a turkey, which is something I learned only recently. And then some men fought with swords. It all started at a rock. Then some guy with white hair wrote out his hope for his neighbors, absent of the queen hovering over his bookshelf. There might have been women, too, who wanted to wear their dresses as short as I did when I was a young girl. But it wasn't until the 1800s when I started paying attention, and only because of a small cabin in the woods built by a man who wanted nothing to do with this country. There were women who hid words in their panties drawer, words not discovered until they were dead, like witches flying above a man ashamed of his own past. After the rock, our ancestors dispersed into the Wild West, where whores sprouted from behind rocks, and men, of course, had to pay to see breasts, and so guns were created to save our freedom. My 6th grade teacher taped the evolution poster to our classroom door, but only because she said the county forced her to. Otherwise, I would never have seen the parade of apes, the men following each other into history.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I should have gone first. What was I thinking? I'm going to read just 2 poems. And I want to thank Pat Green for bartending, and I hope you all overwhelm him immediately with demands for our books so that we will have, you know, money to buy our absinthe. So for next Sunday night, we'll yeah. So I'm going to read 2 poems, and one of them, it's my favorite poem right now, and I'm sorry if it's, you know, kind of gross, but it's all about menstruation. I think it's actually educational for men, and women will feel, you know, like, yeah. Anyway, so this is the second to last poem of the evening. It's called Blood Moon. Oh, a man just left. I need some red wine. All right, Blood Moon. Every doctor's office wants to know the date of your last period. You tracked this information once, but one colorless day, the month and year fell into the underground stream of lost data. The form has no space to write sometime after the turn of the last century. No more red letter days on your calendar, kept the same way since age 13, when you struggled with the hideous stretchy belts and pads and walked to school with a big puffy secret between your legs. Mom said, be grateful you weren't a pioneer woman with nothing but old rags to stop the blood. The body teaches secrets of moontide and rhythm. You get used to it. First, a fullness, an anchor pulling your empty womb toward the earth. Then confusion, medicinal dinners of hot spice, wine, and chocolate. You fall into a day perfect for saying things you can never take back. Black-red words banging around like trigger-happy vigilantes. Finally, the ache and release, a slow ebbing. A week later, You feel a surge like a river cresting somewhere inside you, bringing keenness of mind, diamond-hard thinking. Senses sharpen and clothes fit perfectly. You justify calling in sick just to have more sex. And at the tippy top of Ovulation Mountain, a tremor of what might come tingles you and trips you up. Each month, a moment of such gorgeous danger, you can hardly hold it in your mind. The body loves its surprises, but one day, your months are washed clean of seismic urges and ritual storms. Yesterday, after a full eclipse, the rare blood moon showed itself just before dawn. You missed it, dreaming of gardens, ancestors, waves, safe in your white-stained sleep. My last poem is dedicated to my friend Linda, who is here from Oregon. Linda and I worked together, I'm not going to say how many years ago, at Once Upon a Stage dinner theater. And we were college age, kind of, I don't know. But I was, thanks to Linda, put on as a dresser for one of the shows. This was the day of the sort of fading stars coming to every new run of a show. So in this show, I got to be the dresser for Sal Mineo. Anybody remember Sal Mineo? Oh, you're okay. Dressing Sal Mineo. I watched Rebel Without a Cause on TV one late college night when I learned Sal Mineo was our next big draw at Once Upon a Stage dinner theater. He would star in a stupid play about romantic entanglements, perfect for group sales and Sunday matinees, filled with oldsters on field trips from the homes. I had been too young to see Rebel on a date at the movies, but my babysitter swooned over James Dean. So I figured Sal was the same kind of deal, only a survivor, now in his handsome 40s. On the show, I was the star's dresser, waiting in a tiny curtain square for him to run off the stage during quick changes. I helped him take off his clothes and put on different ones. He shone in the backstage dark, and we all fell in love, boys and girls alike. But I was the one he asked to bring a Sprite with lemon from the bar. He closed the dressing room door, looked me in the eye. I've been watching people here all day, and I've decided to ask you, do you think you could find me some really good shit? That night, I called every pot-smoking friend I knew. I buttoned his shirt while he zipped his tuxedo pants. We had 5 seconds. Sal snapped on the fake bow tie as I presented him the nickel bag. And he beamed that Hollywood warmth at me. Thanks, kid. He jammed the bag into his pocket and leapt back to the stage. He was near the end of his life, and he had no idea. One night before the curtain went up on another awful play, the news spilled from the hostess stand that Sal was stabbed to death in a parking lot in LA. For years, I kept his dressing room stereo, moved it from life to life, let my kids spend endless Sesame Street, then Michael Jackson and Van Halen, until it finally died with a fuzzy needle and 4 old pennies taped to its stylus. Thank you all for coming out for Poetry!